Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in for another Make It With Me Monday. I was privileged this weekend to spend some time with a bunch of my stamping friends at an event in Minnesota on Sunday, and I'm actually filming in my hotel room from there. But I wanted to just make sure I get this up and loaded before our normal live time, just in case I don't make it back. I also am going to be spending some time with Sam visiting UW-Stevens Point to look at the campus as he's considering options once his senior year is done. Hard to believe that that is where I am, but yeah, I have another senior, my last senior. It's hard to believe. All right, so let's get going with stuff tonight. Again, I'm working from my hotel room. I've limited things and hopefully the light's all good and all that kind of stuff. But pictures, of course, will be up like usual. You'll be able to see everything and have better descriptions of stuff. So tonight on my on-camera items, I'm going to be using the stamp set called Changing Leaves. It's one of the new online exclusives. And as you'll see, it has 3 different leaf patterns in it, plus several different little phrases. Now it comes with, or if you want to do the bundle is actually a hybrid. So it has an embossing folder and a set of dies, and they work together. I'm just going to briefly take that out and show you what I'm talking about. And I will do a video soon showing you exactly how this works. But so the cool thing about the embossing folder, I should have had this out before I started. Sorry, guys. Okay, so here's the embossing folder. Now, as you can see, these images look a little familiar, right? You've got the leaf patterns going in there. So what you would do is you would open this up, you would grab the die that matches those big leaf patterns, like so, and it should click right in to that shape up on top, okay? And then you would put in your piece of paper, cardstock, you would run that through, and then you have these 3 pieces specifically that will be embossed and cut out at the same time. So these 2 coordinate together. You can obviously use them separately. So you can have some, you can just use that as an embossing folder. You can use just the dies. You can use them in combination. It's one of the neat things about those hybrid systems. Okay, so let's get down to business. I am going to show you tonight several versions of a layout that's on page 22 of the annual catalog, and it's sketch number 3, which is, so if you the top row, count in 3, and that's the sketch I'm working with tonight. This is one interpretation, at least, of the sizes of everything. Oh, and I realize now I forgot to write the DSP on here. So the DSP is 3 strips of 1 by 5 inches. And a lot of the DSP I'm working with tonight is ones that are going to look like they can then be put back together. I'll be using some of the scenic ones, some with a pattern that would flow through the pieces and that sort of thing. So, okay, so other than that, other than the DSP, we're going to need cardstock that is 4 1/4 by 11 and scored at 5 1/2. I'm going to use Cajun Craze. And then the same color cardstock, you're going to cut another piece 3 1/2 by 5. Then you need a circle that's approximately 2 inches, and you're going to want that to be in a neutral color. Mine is very vanilla to go with kind of like this fall looking pattern I've got going on. And then, like I said, 3 strips of DSP that are each 1 by 5. And I'm using a piece from Thoughtful Journey, so you'll see it flow together as I go across my, my cardstock piece with it later. And then some kind of thin ribbon or twine, I'm going to be using linen thread. Okay, so here we go. Let's go ahead and grab that neutral circle. You are going to want to have images and or phrase, whatever you want to have on this. You can also bring in an optional focal point if that is what you would like to do, and I will show you some samples just like that in a little while. Okay, so I'm going to use 2 of my stamps from that Changing Leaves. I have this leaf here, and I have the phrase thank you. My thank you is going to be stamped in Cajun, and I'm going to do wild wheat for my flower, my leaf. But I'm going to stamp it off one time just to have a little bit of a lighter impression. So I'm going to stamp off on my scrap, and then I'm going to go ahead and put my leaf image in the middle of my circle. So it makes it a little bit lighter, which means the Cajun phrase will stand out just a little bit more off of that particular image right there. So you can definitely see how much darker that is before you stamp that off. Okay, so then my thank you will go, let's see, I'm gonna do my leaf this way, I think. And my thank you is gonna go right about there. Okay, so there is my circle piece that I've done. This is just a 2-inch circle, so it's one of the punches. Again, one of the online exclusives is that circle punch. Okay, so we're gonna set that aside. And now what you are going to want to have are your 3 strips of designer series paper and that single piece of cardstock that was 3.5 by 5. So if, like me, you're using something that's going to have a flow or a definite directional pattern to it, make sure they are laid out in the order you want to be doing them. So first grab one of the edges, doesn't matter if it's the left or the right side. So what we're going to do is we're going to put those 2 pieces in on this cardstock. So your first one over here is going to line up with the left edge. And then we're going to go to the right edge. So we're going to take that piece there. And I'm going to just turn it this way so it's a little bit easier for me to see what I'm doing. Okay. There we go. And then I'm going to take that middle piece, and as you may guess, it's going to go, whoopsie, got stuck. It's going to go in the middle. I'm sure you're so surprised. All right, so there we go. And then once this gets put onto our cardstock layer for our card base, this is gonna basically disappear, and it's gonna look like these 3 panels are just floating amongst them. All right, but first we're gonna grab whatever ribbon, thread, whatever it is that you brought. I have linen thread. Something thin works well, I think, for something like this. And I'm gonna show you guys how I do a triple wrap around with some of these linen thread and baker's twine. Sometimes it looks better to have it a little bit bulkier. So I'm going to start with a piece off the edge, and then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 times around, and then again a little bit over the edge. And that is where I'm going to cut that off. And then what I'm going to do, that piece that came all the way back around, I'm going to tuck it under all the pieces. Okay, and then I'm going to pull it tight. A little bit over here, I think, too. I'm leaving room for my circle to have a place to live. So I'm going to have my piece here be a little bit more to the edge. And I'm going to take what's left there and I'm going to tie it in a bow. So using that little bit over each side method gives you enough room, enough thread or ribbon or whatever you have left, what you're using, to have enough room to do a bow if you want to. Otherwise, if it's a knot, just a knot, you're just going to cut off more than I am. I'm just going to move that out of the way, and then trim off that little piece that I don't need. Now, because I wrapped it around 3 times, I'm gonna be able to do a little separating of these pieces right here. And that gives it just a little bit of interest to have that little bit of a fan look to it. So I'm gonna do the same thing over here, pull that left one over a little bit. And whoops, it looks like it got stuck under the middle. There we go. Okay, so that is what you're gonna do with your ribbon or twine or whatever it is that you brought tonight. I'm gonna do mine directly onto my cardstock. If you wanted to at this point, you absolutely could use dimensionals. Hopefully this isn't shaking too badly. I'm using kind of a thin or a small desk here in my hotel room, and hopefully it's not too shaky. Oh, I'm gonna grab, so we're gonna want our card base. I already did a little bit of my burnishing. I'll do it again with my black here because I left my bone folder at home. That was the trick about traveling this weekend. We went to our lake home first and then up to here, so I had to make sure I had everything with me so that I could film this while I was on the road. Okay, so we're gonna put that basically centered, and as you can see, like I said, that basically disappears into the background. So now it looks like those panels are just kind of, whoops, I have a little bit of adhesive on that, are just kind of floating there in the back, just floating on that piece of cardstock. Now, again, if you have a dark cardstock and you want something for the inside, remember, just cut a panel that is 4 by 5 1/4 to match whatever neutral you're using. So my neutral, of course, was very vanilla. So I would, when I get home, I'm gonna cut a piece that is out of very vanilla. All right, then I'm just gonna go take my adhesive to this circle that I have, and I'm gonna just tuck it in right there. Okay, and again, if you want some dimensionals on that, please feel free to go ahead and pop up anything that you want to have popped up. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'll show you off some samples here. Some of the different ways that you could be stepping this up, excuse me, are just changing a little bit of the colors you're using, and of course accessories. So here's one I did using the Just Kidding stamp set. and the Bold and Beautiful DSP. It makes really fun birthday patterns or birthday cards. There's these really pretty cute stars, lots of bright bold colors. This is Azure Afternoon and Lemon Lolly. So similar to this one, I have some baker's twine, just my white baker's twine, but I did add a few of the yellow gems. Those are actually Daffodil Delight, but they fit in really nicely with basically any shade of yellow. And it just says, it's your birthday there. And then I added the image from the set right in there. So there's my little wizard guy on the inside. Okay, then I took Cutest Cows. Here's another set I haven't used in a while. And as you'll notice the difference here, I have white behind it, not smoky slate. So it doesn't blend in as much as stand out. And I moved them in a little bit. So there's a tinier border around the outside edges and then a larger border here. And then I used Petunia Pop to literally give it a pop of color. I have a die, a circle die here from Spotlight on Nature that I used for the background. And this is my Petunia Pop ribbon. And then I just fussy cut the head and the phrase out to give those a little bit of dimension off of that too. Okay. And this is just Smoky Slate Designer Series paper from the Neutrals DSP pack. Okay, now this one is where we get shiny. Look at all of that sparkly gold. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this has Very Vanilla as the background. I'm using the Adoring Hearts stamp set. And the DSP comes from that gold, oh shoot, it's the new Christmas one, which I golden, shoot, I should have written this down. I'm so sorry, guys. I will definitely have this in the comments when I post it, but it's the green and gold one from the new Christmas items that have been uploaded. So is this ribbon. Now this ribbon is actually just that wide. I just did 3 different layers of it and opted to just wrap it around the back and not actually do a bow or anything like that. And then from the Adoring Hearts die collection, I have these 3 little hearts, plus I die cut out that particular heart stamp. I just fussy cut my Just For You phrase and it had the little indent for banner. And here again is a circle from Spotlight on Nature, just highlighting all of that back there. And I did use gold foil here for that piece and for my background, just to let all of that gold just come shining through. Okay, and last one, this one I think was it was kind of a happy, not a happy accident, but a happy surprise that it worked out as well as it did. So check out that background, oh my gosh. Okay, so what I did, this background base is copper clay. And then what I did is I took 3 little strips from Thoughtful Journey that on the back side just kind of look like wood, a wood tone to them. And I laid those down on top of my copper clay piece of cardstock. Then I took my timber embossing folder and I inked it up first with copper clay ink. And then I sent that through and it pushes everything down in together. And then it put in that imprint of that copper clay. You'll see that definitely is just more prominent because the copper clay ink is in there. Then this is the jute twine, of course, in copper clay. I decided to do a focal point piece here in addition to my circle. I think that was the only one I added a true extra piece to, whereas just using the circle plus maybe hanging something over just a little bit. But I used trusty tools. This one I'm bringing, I kind of delved into some stamp sets I haven't used for a while. And then this is going to eventually be either a birthday card or a Father's Day card for Dad. So that'll be for my husband's dad the next time his birthday or Father's Day roll around. But anyway, I thought that wood grain thing was so cool. And that's another video I will hopefully do for you guys in the future. So you can see exactly how to use your embossing folders with ink to have that just step up to make it something totally different. And again, I added a little bit of another layer behind of that Very Vanilla just to make everything pop. So you could really see the way that wood grain tone shows up in there. Okay, so let's go back to our original sample, and then let me show you how I stepped it up. Now, what this particular piece of the Thoughtful Journey DSP, those are 6x6. So this is one side of the 3x3, and this is the other side of the 3x6 part. And this part went more into pretty peacock color. So I completely changed my color scheme for my stepped up version. So you can see it's got a pretty peacock layer behind it. I went to basic beige to let those colors really show off a lot. And as you see, I ran that through the embossing folder that I just showed you before. with the changing leaves. I didn't use any of the die cuts on that part or anything like that, but first I laid all the pieces down and then I sent it all through. So you'll see some of it showing up on just that basic beige background, and then you'll see the rest of it going over the color area as well. So my circle is basic beige. I did do a die cut leaf instead of putting my leaf directly on a circle. I added a little part for my phrase, so you can see that popping up over there. And then I used other die cuts from the changing leaf dies to put those in there, add a little bit more to my focal point, and of course basic beige ribbon to complete the look. All right, so there are my 2 samples using changing leaves. And then I did Kitten Around, Cutest Cows, Adoring Hearts, and Trusty Tools. So quite a variety of carryover stamps added in with new things. So you can always see that the old and the new always work really nicely together. You just have to find the right color combos and inspiration. So again, the layout of using the 3 panels comes from page 22 of the annual catalog, and it is sketch number 3. So then look in the top row of the sketches and just count to the 3rd one, and that's where you'll find it. All right, everybody, once I am back home, I will post the photos and all of the descriptions of the products I use, just like usual. Thanks for watching tonight, and I will see you live again next week, Monday. Have a great one, everybody. Bye now.